Okay, so now let's talk a little bit more about what overbreathing does. So remember, overbreathing is anything that's going to be above sort of that 10 breaths per minute. Remember, 4 to 6 is ideal, but anything below 10 breaths per minute is a good breathing rate. So another thing that overbreathing does when we are breathing quickly, that 12, 15, 18 breaths per minute at rest, is that we tend to breathe off our carbon dioxide. Now, we all think that carbon dioxide is just a waste gas, but actually carbon dioxide is so important for our blood chemistry and for our body. One of the main things that CO2 does is it tells our body to release oxygen out of our blood and move it into our cell tissues. So if we don't have proper amounts of CO2 in our body, we don't get the oxygen out of our blood and into the tissues where it's needed. So when we're moving our body and moving our muscles are using energy and they are using up the oxygen, and they need more oxygen in them. So when they're moving, they burn their oxygen and they off gas CO2. So when CO2 then is around, like for example, my bicep, I've been working out, I've been moving my arm, my muscles have been using up their oxygen and off gassing CO2. What that CO2 does is it says, hey, when the blood comes by with oxygen in it, we need oxygen over here. So please release the oxygen out of the blood and back into these tissues. And of course, all of the cells in our body need oxygen to perform their functions. So if we don't have the proper amounts of CO2 in our blood, in our body, then we aren't getting that oxygen out of the blood into the tissues. So when we are breathing at that rate of like 12, 15, 18 breaths per minute, especially at rest, we're breathing so quickly that we're breathing our CO2 off. And our body will start to get used to the levels of CO2 in our body. And so when we go to hold our breath, for example, and it feels like, I feel like I need to start taking a breath now, it's not because you've run out of oxygen unless you've been holding your breath for several minutes. It's because your body has reached that comfort level of the buildup of CO2 that it has gotten used to, and it's triggering your brainstem to say, time to inhale, because this is when I usually inhale. I usually inhale when my CO2 reaches this level, and that's one of the reasons why I'm breathing at 12, 15, 18 breaths per minute. It's because I think I need to inhale more often. So what we want to do is we want to start building up our tolerance, our comfort level of CO2 in our body so that we can start to slow our breathing rate down. So the next thing that I want you to do is first thing in the morning when you wake up, I want you to stay in bed and just start to become awake. Take several breaths, your normal breaths in, and just start to see where your breathing rate is. And then you're going to take a normal inhale, a normal exhale. You're not going to blow all of your air out, but a normal exhale. And you're going to hold your nose and you're going to time yourself for how long you can hold your breath until you get that first feeling of, I think I'd like to take an inhale now. And then you can let go of your nose and see what your time is. Now don't hold so long that that feeling starts to become uncomfortable, because we want to see where does your body start reacting to CO2 levels and what is your baseline. So first thing in the morning is a really good baseline, because for most people we wake up at the same time every day. So you're getting your CO2 level tolerance tracked at the same time every day. But also we tend to hyperventilate in the early mornings right before we start to wake up. So your CO2 tolerance level is actually going to be a little bit lower in the morning than it would be at other times of the day. So if we are tracking your CO2 level tolerance first thing in the morning so that we have a consistent time and we know that that is probably your lowest reading that you would get throughout the day, then if we can start to improve that, you know that your CO2 tolerance levels are improved throughout the rest of the day as well. And the more that you become comfortable with higher levels of CO2 in your body, the more you will be able to slow your breath rate down. And remember, CO2 is one of the gases that also helps us to calm and soothe our nervous system, open up our vaso and bronchial passageways so that we have better circulation and a calmer body. Okay, so try that first thing in the morning. It's called your breath hold time, and we will talk more about that in our next video.